We are in Florida this afternoon, where new details are emerging in the death investigation of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. The teen was reported missing earlier this year after she never made it home from school. Soto's mother's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, was the last to see Soto alive after he allegedly dropped her off at school that morning. During the investigation into Soto's disappearance, police found disturbing content on the phone of Sterns and then arrested him on charges of sexual battery and possession of a child sexual abuse material. Days later, Soto's body was found, and quickly after that, Sterns was charged with Soto's murder. And now we are learning new details from a newly obtained police interview with Soto's mom, Jenn. And this interview was done about a month after Soto's body was found and just 6 days before Sterns was indicted by a grand jury for the murder of Soto. Now, before we play that interview for you, let's get you caught up on the case against Stephan Sterns. Stephan Sterns is accused of murdering 13-year-old Madeline Soto, his girlfriend's daughter. Madeline went missing on the morning of February 26th, and her mother, Jennifer, spoke to WFTV the next day.
I feel like I can't breathe. All I keep thinking about is, where is she? Is she safe?
Jennifer says she realized something was wrong when she went to pick Madeline up from school, and she wasn't there.
I wasn't the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner.
According to Sterns, he dropped Madeline off in a church parking lot next to her middle school. He also spoke to WFTV the day she went missing.
I dropped her off. Everything looked fine when I drove away. So last time we saw her, she was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out. I love her. Said thanks, love you too. That was it.
Police began to suspect Sterns as they investigated and looked for Madeline. And when they examined his phone, investigators say they found videos and images of sexual abuse of Madeline.
During our forensic investigation, we uncovered disturbing evidence, graphic images, and videos depicting crimes being committed. It was during this examination that we learned we needed to act swiftly to remove the suspect, Stephan Sterns, from our streets.
2 days after Madeline went missing, Sterns was arrested and charged with 60 child sex crimes. On March 1st, Madeline's body was found in a wooded area off of a 2-lane road, 40 minutes from where Madeline lived with her mom and Sterns. And on April 24th, Sterns was charged with first-degree murder. He pleaded not guilty.
The evidence shows an individual that was entrusted to keep Madeline safe made calculated moves to dispose Madeline's belongings and place her body in a wooded area before she was ever reported missing.
Investigators say Madeline was never dropped off or near her school. Surveillance video allegedly shows Sterns returning to the family's apartment complex the morning she disappeared, with Madeline visible in the car. Detectives believe she was already dead.
We know this case has gained significant public attention because Madeline had just celebrated her 13th birthday and was just a child. The indictment signifies a crucial step forward in our quest for justice.
Let's take a listen now to the start of that police interview with Jenn Soto. This is Madeline Soto's mother, taken about a month after her daughter's body was discovered.
Good morning. We are at the State Attorney's Office in Kissimmee. It's 8:57 a.m. It is April 18th, 2024. I am William J. I am the Division Chief for the Homicide Unit. With me is Danielle Pinnell, also from the Homicide Unit in Kissimmee. Can the detectives identify themselves?
Detective Mark Morris.
Detective Kyle Smallwood. And with us is
Jennifer Soto.
With your attorney,
Matthew Barker.
All right. We went over some things before we went on the record and told you the opportunity to ask any questions that you needed to ask. If you need a break to consult with your attorney, that is absolutely fine. We'll all step out of the room, turn off our recorders, and let you exercise your constitutional right to have counsel. There's no problem with that. There's water fountains here. There's restrooms. I don't know if you're a smoker or not, but if you get desperate, we can make an outside break time, but we are kind of under time constraints. With that all said, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is an investigative subpoena, so you've been compelled to be here. And in our country, under the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment as applied to you under the Florida Constitution as well, you cannot be forced to incriminate yourself. So anything you say today can't and won't be used against you unless you just don't tell us the truth. And I've already explained to your attorney, Mr. Bark, whether or not you've made any inconsistent statements in the past, that is dirt under the bridge, and either a misdemeanor was committed or it wasn't, but we're not going to be using that as a basis of some sort of perjury by false statements, because those other charges wouldn't be perjury anyways. So the most important thing today is to tell the truth. I also explained derivative use immunity, which means if you said that there was a gun, and obviously there's no gun in this case, buried in your attorney's yard, we couldn't go dig up that gun if you told us that, oh yeah, there's the gun that was used is right there. We wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to show that we learned all those things independently from this interview. Okay? Do you have any questions? All right, so let's get started.
Before you start, let me just make sure we're clear on the record. Off the record, we had discussed our position on the concerns we have. Ms. Soto was interrogated by law enforcement previously. She was under a tremendous amount of duress and stress, being that her child was missing and then she was found deceased. There's been media hysteria about this. There's been people asking for her to be prosecuted, tarred, feathered, executed. And so with that said, we have the concern that you brought up about if there's something said inconsistent today not being used against her for filing a false police report.
Right, so for example, if she said something that was false then, and we have no idea that it was false now before this interview, but she comes in and admits that it was false today, we can't use these statements or that admission that it was false against her, just like we couldn't use anything else against her from this interview. Okay.
I want to welcome our guests for this hour, criminal defense attorney Marie Pereira and Deputy Public Defender Philip Dubé. Happy Thanksgiving week to both of you. Thank you for joining me. This case, Madeline Soto, we remember when she went missing, and we remember they were looking, and the mother and the boyfriend spoke to the media. Then fast forward, he got some charges because of child porn and 60 charges on all of those issues, and then later charged with her murder once her body was found. Now, this is what's interesting. The mother is here talking to detectives under what's called an investigative subpoena. So they compelled her to be present. So Philip, she has to talk to them. Does that affect what she may or may not say in your mind? The fact that this is not by choice, this is because they're telling her she has to be there.
Well, first of all she has to do is show up. She's not required to say anything if she asserts the fifth. So when you're subpoenaed, it's not a save the date, it's not a flyer to a block party, it's compulsory process to show up, which she did. So she cannot be held in contempt or otherwise sanctioned or punished criminally or even civilly or by way of a fine. But she absolutely has the right to remain silent. But unfortunately, she waived that right because it looks like certain promises were made to her. And she strikes me as the type of woman who's a little too starry-eyed and frankly, maybe a little too blissfully ignorant about how the system works. And if I were with her, I would have told her immediately not to say a word and to let me do the talking.
Right. There is, Marie, something about this mother, and we're going to do the deep dive as we go through this hour, but it always bothered me that she doesn't, it's not, I don't know that she's playing dumb, but I feel like as she's talking, she should have, could have, did know a lot more than she ever says.
I think so, and I think her judgment in allowing her daughter to sleep with this man was a big, big, big mistake. And I think she sort of has an allegiance to him still. As I saw this interview, when they told her there are graphic images of Stephan and her daughter on his phone, I think what she said was to some in substance was, oh, he's going to need an attorney. Is that what you say when you see or hear about graphic images on your man's phone with your daughter giving him some type of oral sex? Your teenage daughter, she wasn't even a teenager because the pictures go back to when she was in single-digit years. I have a strong dislike for the woman, and I know she's innocent until proven guilty. She hasn't been charged with anything, but I think her mothering skills were horrible in allowing that man to sleep in the same bed with her daughter, period.
And in spite of seeing those images, etc., she tells law enforcement that she thinks they have the wrong man. Let's listen to that together.
So we showed you photos of Stephan raping.
No.
First thought you had was to ask his father if you should get a lawyer?
No. I saw a picture. I didn't see the rape. I didn't know she was getting raped until yesterday. I saw the picture of the oral sex happening. And I knew that was true, right? That's evidence. That's for real. That's happening. But I kept thinking, they're going... I don't know why I can't tell you why my brain kept thinking, no, he didn't kill her. Not that he didn't kill her, but she's still missing. She's still out there. She was taken. Yes, he's done this to her, and that's not okay. But I swore she was still, I felt in my body she was still alive. She was still out there. I told Chris to get him a lawyer because I felt like you guys were chasing the wrong person.
All right, let me ask you about that, Philip, because it's still a little unbelievable to me. What do you think?
I have mixed feelings about it, to be honest with you. If I were defending her, honestly, she's not your traditional mother, and you would think most mothers would want him tarred and feathered and boiled in oil, frankly. She strikes me as someone, I don't know if Marie agrees, I'm not trying to give her a pass, but she strikes me as someone who might be developmentally delayed, slightly on the spectrum, and I don't think she realizes the severity and the importance of her words and the nature of the investigation. And she just strikes me as somebody who's a bit of a dullard, and I wouldn't go so far as to say she's dense, but she's not as high functioning from a cognition standpoint as most adult women and adult mothers would be. So I don't know, I'm not giving her a pass, but I would want her seen by a neuropsychologist and have some pretty extensive testing done on her before I judge who she is and why she would allow the sleeping arrangements and why she uttered the things that she did during that interrogation.
And I do wonder what else law enforcement knows about any of those things you just mentioned, because we know she does not face any charges at this time. Marie, I'm going to leave you with that thought to come back later on. Coming up next, Jenn Soto tells police her daughter celebrated her 13th birthday party the day before she went missing and says that Sterns was not invited due to a strained relationship with her mother. That's up next.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
There are lots of cases that we'd like to look at. And you know what it means. You know what you did, right?
I killed him. And I prayed to God.
That's not really how God works.
Interview with a Killer. New season coming in 2025, only on Court TV.
America.
I'm thinking he carried her out of the house. I don't know how he didn't get caught by any of my roommates or no one heard. They're saying he drove all around town. I'm not sure where he could have gone.
Back now to Florida, where we are watching a newly obtained police interview in the murder of Madeline Soto case. Defendant Stephan Sterns, who was dating Soto's mom, Jenn, was arrested for the 13-year-old's murder just earlier this year. Now, a police interview with Soto's mom, taken about a month after her daughter's body was found, is revealing new details about the home dynamic. Let's take a listen together now to Jenn Soto recalling the events of the day before Madeline was reported missing.
My understanding is that on February 25th of this year, you were working at the hotel on Disney property out at Coronado Springs. Yes. You have to answer out loud and loud enough to get caught on the record. I know you're upset. I know.
Yes.
All right. And did you get off at 10 p.m.?
Yes.
All right. Did you go directly home?
Yes.
About how long does it take you to get home?
About 25 to 30 minutes.
And when you get home, who is downstairs, if anybody? You have a two-story, is it a townhome? Is that the best word for it?
Yes, it's a townhome.
If anybody is downstairs, who is downstairs?
I saw my daughter Madeline and Stephan.
Do you recall what Madeline was wearing?
No.
And do you recall what Stephan was wearing?
I can't tell you, no.
Okay. When you get home from work, do you need to kind of eat a late dinner before you get settled in for bed?
Yes.
And do you eat there at your home?
Yes.
What do you eat?
I think I had a pub sub waiting for me in the house, a sandwich.
Okay. Did anybody join you in sitting down and eating?
No, I ate in my bedroom.
Okay. Did it look like anybody else had recently cooked food or eaten any food there that night?
From what I saw, no. I didn't see anyone cooking, or it didn't look like anyone had been cooking.
Okay. I believe in one of your former interviews you mentioned that Madeline might have gone over with you kind of what she got at the birthday party since you didn't have the chance to go because you were at work. Mm-hmm. When and where does that occur?
That occurs like right after I get home. It occurs in my bedroom. Everyone's in my room.
And so by everyone, let's just be clear since I understand you have some roommates. So what do you mean by everyone?
Okay. Madeline, Stephan, and myself were in my bedroom.
Okay. At this point in time, do you recall what Madeline was wearing?
I don't know.
Let me ask it a different way. Can you tell me whether or not she was wearing a long-sleeved green sweatshirt and jeans?
Oh, no.
Okay. Would she have kind of been in her bed gear, or do you think she could have still been in the dress that she wore to her birthday celebration?
She would have been in pajamas. I can't recall the exact pajamas, but she would have been in pajamas. She had already, by this point in the evening, she had already showered and changed out of that birthday dress.
And was it your understanding from your sister that she had gotten dropped off about 8:30, she being Madeline?
8:30, 8:45, something around that time, yeah.
And what's your understanding as to when Stephan had gotten there? If you know. If you don't guess, it's fine.
Actually, while he's saying that, this is important. So there's things that you might think should be a certain way because that's just the way things go. But don't just guess based on past history that it's the same as what happened on that particular day. If you don't know, you don't know.
Then, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what time he got there.
Okay. You were at work, so I just didn't know if, like, sometimes families check in, hey, I made it by text or by phone call or anything like that. Do you not remember any of that?
I don't remember.
Okay. How long were the three of you in your bedroom?
I'm going to say for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did Madeline tell you about the party?
She was really happy.
Did she tell you what food they had there at the party?
Yeah, they had her favorites.
What are her favorites?
Puerto Rican food. So arroz con gandules.
All right, so you're going to have to translate to English. I know frioles and arroz and a couple other things, but help me out.
If I recall correctly, she had requested rice. It's a type of rice and beans. Mm-hmm. It's rice with pigeon peas.
Okay.
And pernil, which is, I'm not sure how to, it's a pork, but I'm not sure how they cook it.
Okay.
So it's cooked pork. That's typically what she requests for her parties. That's like her favorite meal.
Okay. And what kind of gifts did she get?
She got a lot of money.
Okay.
That's what she ended up showing me. I think she had a few trinkets, but like most of it was just a big wad of money that she was so excited for.
All right. Is there any particular reason Stephan couldn't make it up to the party? Because it's my understanding he didn't exactly work or anything.
He wouldn't have been invited. The party was held at my mom's house, and my mom and him have never had a great relationship. She's never liked him. So he wouldn't have been invited to the party at all. It just would have been my whole family, and then me. If I hadn't worked, I would have been there.
Okay. Now, during this 30 minutes that the three of you are in your bedroom, is Madeline engaging in any of her kind of nighttime routine or, you know, getting ready for bed? What else is going on, if anything?
We spent a long time talking about gifts and having her show me, and then we counted out her whole money. I can't remember if she had finished with all of her bedtime routine.
Okay. Does she brush her teeth at night?
In the shower.
In the shower? Okay. And that occurred before you got home?
Yeah.
Before we head to break, we want to remind you of a major sentencing happening Monday for defendant Sarah Boone. You watched her trial play out right here on Court TV, where a jury ultimately found her guilty of second-degree murder in the death of her boyfriend, George Torres. You may remember she zipped him inside that suitcase. Well, Boone now faces up to life in prison for zipping him in the suitcase, leaving him there to die in her conviction. We will have that sentencing for you live starting Monday morning here on Court TV at 9 a.m. Eastern. And still ahead, Madeline Soto's mom walks police through her daughter's bedtime routine and why the night before she went missing was a little bit different. We'll be right back.
At any time during the course of your relationship, has he expressed that he's ever had sex with a child?
No. Not a child, but when he told me when he was in high school, he graduated high school like later, like older than 18.
Okay.
He dated somebody younger than 18. I think she was 15.
Welcome back to Court TV. Thank you so much for joining us. We are in Florida now, where new details are being released in the murder of Madeline Soto case. 13-year-old Madeline Soto was last seen on the morning of February 26th when her mother's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, was supposed to drop her off at school. Madeline's body was found days later in a grassy area, and now Sterns is charged with her murder. His trial is set to begin in September of next year. Right now, we're listening to the newly obtained police interview of Madeline's mother, Jennifer. In this portion, the DA questions Jennifer about Madeline's bedtime routine the night before her disappearance.
And my understanding with her nighttime medication is that's something that you would like to make sure she had bedtime or so?
Something like that, yeah.
So were you present for that occurring, or did that occur after you got home?
That did not occur on my call. I believe I had instructed Maddie when she got home to go ahead and take them herself.
Okay. And is that something that she's allowed to do?
From time to time, yeah.
When you say they, is there, what my understanding was there was some hydroxyzine. Is there anything else she takes at night?
Just hydroxyzine.
All right. And the Miralax is when?
Miralax is...
So that would have been earlier while you were at work too if she took it?
Yeah.
May not have because she was at the party?
Yeah, because I had been training at work that week and we had been going back and forth with my mom's a lot. The Miralax wasn't consistent.
Okay. All right. Now, Madeline, does she lay out her clothes for school the next day, or is that something she gets in the morning, makes a game time decision like my kid?
Typically, it is a game time decision morning of.
Okay. What about this specific evening? Do you remember anything about it?
Yes. This evening, we had, I had already discussed prior to Stephan coming to visit that he was going to help me take Maddie to school that day. So because I knew that was what was going to happen that night, I had asked Maddie, pick out your clothes, have everything ready, have your backpack ready, your water bottle, everything you need ready so that way you could just grab your stuff and head out. It won't be too much of a hassle in the morning. And so she did. She picked out her clothing. I asked her what she was wearing, and she told me what she had picked out. I said, okay, fine.
All right, so she picks it out, but does she physically take it out of somewhere, wherever she stores her clothes, and put it somewhere?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she took that clothes upstairs with her or anything like that.
All right. So as far, you didn't see them in your room, and did you have the opportunity to kind of see her cubby part of the living room to see if she had put them on her bed or anything like that?
I hadn't seen no.
Does Madeline have like a water bottle or a hydro flask or whatever the kids call it that she likes to sleep with and bring up or bring wherever she's sleeping?
Typically not. That stays downstairs in her backpack, and then she'll clean it in the morning and then fill it back up and leave it in her backpack. That typically stays in the backpack.
Okay. Favorite stuffed animal or stuffed animals? Anything that always goes with her wherever she's sleeping?
She does have a few stuffies and blankies. Did I see any that day?
Yeah, specifically, did you see if she brought any of that stuff upstairs with her?
No, I didn't see any of that stuff upstairs.
Now, separate question. Generally, habitually, like your attorney was saying, there's a difference between specific memory, but generally, would she do that? Not saying that you saw it that night.
Generally, would she do what?
Have stuffies and blankets and her favorite stuff.
Yes. She typically would.
So if Stephan says something like Maddie's building her nest and getting settled in, would that to you mean like her stuff is part of this nest, or what do you think that would mean, if you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you recall getting that text from Stephan that night that Maddie had settled into her nest for the night?
I don't remember that text, no.
Okay. My understanding was that at some point you told them it was time to go to bed.
Yeah.
Do you recall about what time that was?
Around 11 o'clock.
So that's consistent with getting home at 10:30, having this half-hour discussion, and eating your pub sub? Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right. Do they comply with your wishes to go upstairs when you say that at about 11 o'clock?
Yes, they do.
Is there any further communication between either you and Madeline or you and Stephan about, all right, kids, it's time to go to bed, anything like that? Or was that the last you had heard from either one of them that night?
I think at some point, Stephan comes downstairs to use the restroom and then goes back upstairs. But after that, I don't recall interacting or saying anything, so.
Okay. And my understanding is that you had some sort of parental controls over Maddie's phone. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure by parental controls exactly. I didn't have any limits or anything on the phone set up.
Well, like, for instance, if she wanted to install Game Pigeon, does that have to go through you?
Yeah. So any permissions for any apps, she would have to ask me for.
All right, and does that ring a bell as to occurring that Sunday? Game Pigeon? Okay. All right. So that's the last time you hear from either one of them until the morning. My understanding is that Stephan comes down and is dealing with your dog. Is there any communication other than perhaps Stephan coming down to use the restroom? Is there any other communication that you have between Stephan and Maddie? Do you see them? Now, I've said communicate. Do you see them? Do you go up and check on them? Do you see Madeline or Stephan from the point you kick them out at 11 p.m. until you see Stephan at 8 in the morning-ish is what you guess for the dog?
Yeah. No, I didn't see them.
Okay. Now, when you go to sleep, do you sleep through the night, or do you wake up and not have consistent good sleep?
I sleep through the night.
Okay. So there wouldn't be any points in time where you get up and you're taking steps or just checking on your phone because you can't go back to sleep? As far as you remember, when you go to sleep, you're out until the dog thing in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear or see anything during those hours involving Stephan or Madeline?
I didn't hear or see anything that night.
Before we have to take a break, I want to quickly share my thoughts from the bench on this case. A mother knows. That is what I have seen time and time again during my time on the bench as a judge. There seems to often be an instinct, a gnawing in the pit of the stomach, even if there's no explicit confirmation of a mother's greatest fear. Perhaps she didn't know that her own boyfriend was abusing Madeline, but she clearly knew the nighttime routine. She knew that she would send them upstairs to go to bed. She acts as if it was so important for her to get sleep that she would do whatever she needed to get that rest, like sending her child with an adult boyfriend of hers. I get it. Life is exhausting, but never at the expense of your kid. She never should have allowed her daughter to go upstairs to sleep where her boyfriend, who was on and off again, by the way, was sleeping. If she knew details about the nighttime routine, I promise she could have had a radar as to the routine that he was making between himself and Madeline. I'm shocked she has not faced any charges at this time. On the other hand, devil's advocate, maybe she agreed to tell them all about the defendant to avoid charges against her. But I stand by this. A mother knows. If you know something or see something, say something. We'll be right back with more from Jenn Soto's police interview after the break.
We want to understand the mindset behind your actions in this case. Tell me, why are you here?
She needed payback.
Payback with her life?
Really funny, really. I'm laughing. You see me, I laugh. I don't want any of this.
Are you not prepared today to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a Killer. Marathon starting Thursday, 11/10 Central. Only on Court TV.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and
She's moving.
Yeah, that was it.
Now back to the murder case against Stephan Sterns in Florida. Sterns is scheduled to go to trial next year after being charged with first-degree murder in the death of his girlfriend's daughter, Madeline Soto. Madeline's mother, Jennifer, spoke to police earlier this year, over a month after investigators discovered her daughter's remains. We're picking up that police interview now with Jennifer telling the interviewer about the behaviors of her boyfriend, Sterns. Now, this was on the morning he was supposed to drop Madeline off at school. Let's listen.
The first thing you remember when you wake up after having gone to sleep?
I wake up to Stephan trying to put the leash on the dog.
Okay. Now, is this the first time that you've ever woken up to Stephan trying to put a leash on your dog, or is that something that has occurred before in the past?
I'm gonna say this is the first time. It's not normal for any of us to put the leash on the dog on the bed, because if he's on top of any, like, bed, couch, anything, he'll pee. He gets really nervous. You have to do it on the floor. So I found it really weird that he did that, but.
All right, so let me ask it a little more broadly. Is this the first time Stephan's ever come into your room while you're sleeping to take the dog out for you in the morning?
I can't recall if he's done it before.
Okay. Did you find it unusual then, or what did you think when this is occurring?
When it happened, I think I was more. I found it off, but I was more worried over the dog. I was like, please don't pee on the bed. I don't want to do laundry.
Okay.
So I was more anxious over that. He put the dog on the leash and told me to lay down and go back to sleep. And I said, okay.
So were you not laying down when he tells you to go back and lay down?
No, when he put the leash on the dog, I shot off the bed because I was going to help him. I was like, no, let me do it. And he's like, no, go back to sleep. I'm fine. I got this.
Okay.
I said, okay.
Now, do you go back to sleep, or do you check your phone or do anything?
I think I go back to sleep. me look at anything.
In this period of time that you have been awoken by Stephan, do you hear or see anybody else in your household?
I hear somebody in the kitchen. I'm not sure who it was. I'm not sure who it was.
Okay. Could you identify it by size, like their steps? Could you identify gender by their voice? Anything like that?
All I heard was sounds of like cabinets shutting, like somebody in there shutting, like looking for something and shutting.
Okay. Now, if your daughter had been awake, would she come in and say goodbye to you before school, or not? Just let you sleep?
I would have hoped she would have come by and say goodbye to me. I can't remember if this is one of the first times that Stephan actually took her to school, so I would have hoped she would have said good night, but I'm not sure.
All right, so do you fall back asleep?
I do.
And when do you wake up, and how do you wake up?
I wake up at like 9 o'clock in the morning to my alarm. Yeah, I wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning to my alarm. I get ready, I think at around 9:30, 9:45, I leave for my doctor's appointment.
Okay. So in this period of time from when you're waking up and getting ready, do you see anybody else in your home?
At this point, I'm not too sure. I know throughout the day I've seen my roommate in the kitchen cooking and doing her thing, but I don't recall if it was at this time.
Did you see your daughter this morning on the 26th?
No.
Did you have any texts or phone calls or any other type of communication through any possible app on your phone? Like, hey, Mom, love you at school, whatever. Any communications from Madeline?
Anything from her? Nothing.
All right. How about from Stephan by the time that you wake up at 9? Any texts or communication from him? Maddie's dropped. I'm off to the game store or whatever he's doing.
No. I didn't hear back from Stephan until 10:20ish, and he had told me he left his phone at home the whole morning by accident. And I had asked him how the morning went, how was Maddie, and he let me know that this morning went great. We made great time. She got busy super quick. He was going to take her to McDonald's for breakfast, but she changed her mind. All she wanted to do was sleep in the car, so he let her sleep. He took her to school and dropped her off where he said he dropped her off, and that was it.
And you had a 10:15 appointment for a blood draw?
Yes.
And did you go anywhere else prior to getting to your appointment for your blood draw? Did you go directly there or not directly there? That's basically the question.
Oh, I went directly there.
All right. And after your blood draw, did you go directly back home?
Yes.
About what time did you get home?
Sometime between 11:15 and 11:30.
Did you have any other appointments or doctor's appointments later in the day?
I was supposed to have had one, but I canceled it
When did you cancel it?
that same day
Why did you cancel it?
because it was a $350 Botox appointment that I didn't want to spend the money on. I changed my mind last second.
All right, still with us, criminal defense attorney Marie Pereira and Deputy Public Defender Philip DeBay. I can tell, even though I haven't been able to see you on camera, Marie, I can tell that you have not at all reacted to anything the mother is saying. I want to give you the opportunity to share what you've been thinking.
I believe that there was a meeting of the minds, a contract for the sale of this little girl to him. I think that she remains silent, and Philip will know because he's the guru of everything. There is a law in contract that says there could be an unofficial contract whereby silence is acceptance. She knew that she was homely. he wasn't really interested in her. He was in and out of her life. And she knew that she had something he wanted, her little girl. So she looked away, gave the hydroxyzine at night, which, by the way, makes you drowsy, and then delivered her child to him. In this interview, like Philip said, she should have had a lawyer because she's telling a lot. She's saying that when he was 18, he told her he dated a 15-year-old. Right there, that's a problem. She knew he liked underage kids, and she exposed him to her daughter at night, drugged up, so that he can do whatever he wanted. She acted like she didn't understand because maybe she knew that if she didn't put up her daughter as an enticement, he would not be checking for her homely self. And I'm telling you, that woman, she knew.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Marie. I just wanted to mention she did have an attorney, right? Like some people might think, well, why would she think she needs an attorney? But let me ask Philip, oh, great defender, because you serve as a public defender representing individuals. What do you think in response to what Marie is suggesting and saying? Not suggesting, but rather saying about this mother.
I'm not convinced. I have not heard enough, to be honest with you. You would have to believe that either she literally pimped her daughter out to this boyfriend, or she was completely overly trustful, naive, and just unsuspecting, unwary. And I gotta tell you, and I know a lot of people are gonna hate on me for this, but there's something a little too naive and almost sort of, I don't want to say pathetic, but almost kind of sweetly naive about her, where she truly does not suspect that he did anything. Now, I'm not saying that she shouldn't have known. Of course, most adult women would know. First of all, you never let your daughter sleep with your boyfriend. That unto itself is so abnormal.
Yeah.
But let's just give her that she doesn't understand boundaries. She doesn't get it. And she never thought in a million years that her boyfriend would ever put a hand on her. Then she really is not complicit, and she truly is innocent. And, you know, it's probably why the prosecution never filed charges against her. Because if we're all honest, they don't have anything.
But also,
all they really have is her presence.
Let's think about this, too. What do perpetrators do? They pick their vulnerable victims, and I would suggest he's a perpetrator, allegedly, and if the allegations prove true, I think he well picked a mother that he believed would not have the wherewithal capacity to protect a daughter so that he could then victimize the daughter. That's my theory. Marie, let me ask you about a detail I noticed where she said she noticed it was not normal to put a leash on the dog. Nobody put a leash on the dog, and yet here comes Stephan putting a leash on the dog. That's a pretty specific detail to notice and say, oh, it was a little off. But I was more worried about the dog peeing, so she does notice details.
She does notice details, and you know what's sad? Her daughter was probably dead by then, and that's why he said, go back to bed, baby. And he went on to try to figure out what he was gonna do with this body, and that included propping her up in his car, acting like she was alive, and he was driving her to school. Philip, that woman knew what the hell she was doing, all right? She made a choice. There's nothing wrong with her. She's not slow on the spectrum. She was just that one chick who needed a man so bad that she upped her daughter so that she could have him coming around. That's what I believe. Because like Ashley says, a mother knows, and she should have known. She's responsible for that.
This is a crazy case. Philip, do you think she'll ever face any charges? We only have about 10 seconds.
Never, ever in a million years. First of all, they gave her immunity. You know, that's that. They gave her use and derivative immunity, and that completely protects her from criminal prosecution.
All right, thank you so much for that explanation. You both are sticking around with us, and coming up next, Michael Ayala joining me for more of Jenn Soto's police interview, plus what Stephan Sterns had to say about Madeline Soto in the days before her body was found. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Court TV.
Clubs.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcott.
And I'm Michael Ayala. We're both here today giving you your front row seat to justice. We are in Florida this afternoon, where new details are emerging in the death investigation of 13-year-old Madeline Soto.
The teen was reported missing earlier this year after she never made it home from school.
Now, Soto's mother's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, was the last to see Soto alive after he allegedly dropped her off at school that very morning.
During the investigation into Soto's disappearance, police found disturbing content on Sterns' phone and arrested him on charges of sexual battery and possession of a child sexual abuse material.
Days later, Soto's body was found, and quickly after that, Sterns was charged with Soto's murder.
Let's take a listen now to a few of Sterns' statements to the media and to the police regarding Madeline Soto.
She had a happy weekend. She just turned 13. She had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together here, and she was just very happy. She was a happy kid. She's very sweet. She's a very sweet girl. I dropped her off early. I could have waited longer. She looked okay. She was walking towards the school when I saw her. It was like any other day, so I went on with my day.
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Instead, we believe she was already dead at the time.
We don't know where she could be, and we're scared. We just want her home. Just not knowing.
So the unknown is killing you?
Yeah, it's like our whole world is upside down.
We have video evidence that shows Stephan Sterns discarding items in a dumpster. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster.
You could see the overpass from where it was. So it was on that side, on that stretch of road, and that's where I dropped her off. She said she was going to go wait for her friends. She was going to go find them and hang out and wait for her friends. And I asked if that was going to be okay. She said, yeah, it's fine. Kids get dropped off early enough as it is. It's not totally unusual for that to happen. It's just not usually that early that I drop her off. I do school runs every once in a while for her. I said, okay. Let her out. Have a good day. Love you. Thanks. Love you too.
I can't remember the exact spot, but it was around where these communities were. Oh, thank you. So it's like around where these communities were.
Okay.
And it's just like in this stretch, like we could see the overpass down there.
Where's the school?
Just on the other side of the overpass.
So somewhere around here.
So yeah, somewhere, maybe not this one, but the next one possibly is right in this stretch. When we just came down and we drove about halfway down, she was like, that's good right here. Well, I was walking in that direction. She was rifling through her backpack, just looking for something. I thought maybe she was just looking for headphones before she got her walking on.
Yeah.
But she was just kind of, shambling over in that direction. It looked the same as any other morning.
Don't know why they don't do that. Why don't they just kind of like at least give you a blanket,
My core temperature was down. The temperature was like a degree or two lower than it should have been.
Wow.
Couldn't regulate. Sleeping on bare metal. The first night I was on concrete floor with a roll of toilet paper for a pillow. Nothing else. Begging for a blanket or a pad to sleep on for like 2 days. I don't think they were supposed to do stuff like that. She brings a lot of joy. She's a very good girl. It definitely doesn't feel the same around here if she's not here. She was so happy, too. She was looking forward to my visit here. She was looking forward to us all being together. She was just happy. She was just very happy. I loved her like she was my own. I don't recall us going anywhere last night, but honestly, at that point my brain was mush and I was on so many tranquilizers to keep me stable. I was having these rolling panic attacks and breaking down crying, and it was the only way I could get to sleep last night.
Not feeling her presence here is... Sorry. It's hard.
We are also learning new details from a newly obtained police interview with Soto's mom, Jenn, taken about a month after Madeline's body was found and just 6 days before Sterns was indicted by a grand jury for the murder of Madeline.
Let's take a listen now to more of that police interview as Jenn Soto, here she describes coming home from an appointment and then hours later discovering that her daughter was missing.
When you get home from your blood draw appointment, is there anybody else at your home?
When I get home from blood draw, yes, Stephan was home.
All right. And can you describe what he's wearing, what he's doing, his demeanor, what's going on?
I can't recall what he's wearing. It might be a red shirt with a graphic on it.
Okay.
He's sitting in my bedroom on my desk.
Prior to you getting there, he's in your room? Or is that where you guys go to talk?
He was hanging out there in my room.
Okay.
My room is kind of like the general hangout spot.
Okay.
I walk into my room. He's sitting there on the computer chair. He's talking, acting normal, asking about the morning and how everything went, and that he let me know the errands that he ran that morning or what he was up to.
And what did he say he was up to?
He said he had dropped Maddie off at school and then afterwards went to a vape shop so he can buy vaping things.
Okay.
But that the store wasn't open, so he waited a long time for them to open. They never did. So he drove around, killed time, and then eventually made it back to my house at like 10:20. When later on, when I got home and he was home, we started discussing, or he started telling me that he was going to go back out to run a few more errands in a little bit down 182. And he gave me the name of a few stores that he might stop at. And I'm like, okay. I asked him if he wanted to meet me at my house by 2:30 so that we can go pick up Maddie from school together. And he said, yeah, he'll be back by 2:30. And I said, okay.
So was that the plan, to get her together, or was it ever discussed that he would get her alone?
The plan was for us to get her together.
Okay. All right. And so does he leave before you leave?
Actually, before this, while we were still discussing, while we were having the conversation in my room, he did mention at one point, while he was sitting there, that he had to reboot his phone, or that he had to update his phone. And what was it? He had to update his phone, so I told him, stop avoiding it, do it. Like, it's updates take a while, like, do it. And while he was updating his phone, he said, I don't know what I did, but I just factory reset my phone. And I said, that's weird, I didn't know that you could do that. He said, yeah, a button popped up and I pressed it and it just reset my entire phone. And I'm like, oh, that sucks.
So does he leave before you do to go do these errands he was telling you about?
Yes, he does leave.
Do you stay at home until it's time to go get Madeline?
Yes.
Do you hear anything from Stephan while he's out doing these errands?
No.
So 2:30 rolls around. Is Stephan back home yet?
No. At this point, I leave.
Do you try and call him or text him or communicate with him?
Yeah, I had been calling him like maybe starting 15 minutes before I was supposed to leave just to see where he was.
Did he answer?
No. I leave at 2:30. Around 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from him. And he said, I'm so sorry. I left my phone at home again on accident. I was driving down 192 and my tire exploded or shredded. And I had to pull over into one of the plazas and change my tire. He said he hurt his thumb doing that. and that, he was late and didn't make it back on time for that reason.
All right. When you leave to go pick Madeline up at 2:30, do you take her phone with you?
I do.
And how is it that you come to get her phone to go with you?
At some point in the morning, I was organizing and putting things away, and I walked into her bedroom and I saw her phone on her dresser. And I just assumed, oh, she must have left it here while getting dressed and forgot it.
Okay. Was it on?
Yes.
And sometimes when you bump or move phones, the notification screen comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Did you happen to do that, and did you see if there was any incoming notifications that she had missed?
I hadn't seen any, no.
Okay. All right. So you go to school, and due to time constraints, like an NFL football game, we're going to kind of jump ahead a little bit. My understanding is that you want to be first in line, and you have to get there early to do that, and I understand that.
Yeah.
She doesn't come out.
She doesn't know.
Did you call her phone?
I did.
Why did you do that?
Because I forgot I had it with me. I was like, where is she? Why isn't she out yet? So I start calling her phone, and then I start realizing I'm hearing vibrating, and then I look down, and I see her phone's with me. I'm like, oh.
Okay.
How am I going to get a hold of her? Because I'm the first in line. The cars behind me already have children. They're full. They're waiting for me to leave.
Okay.
You know, Judge, on some level, some of the things she says, you're a little skeptical about it. But that particular point can be looked upon with skepticism, but I'm not going to say I've done this before. I certainly know people who have, where you may either have someone's phone, or I took it from my wife's phone for some reason, then I'm calling her, and I realize, oh my God, I have her phone. That has happened to me.
I think some of these things, to your point, are reasonable, realistic. I think it's when you put it all together for the whole picture. The amount of detail she can recount about certain circumstances like that versus the lack of ability she had to know any details of what was going on with her boyfriend and the daughter, allegedly, that's where I'm bothered.
I would agree 100%. The fact that she didn't take the time to know the details of that is problematic.
I think so too. All right, coming up next, Jenn Soto tells police that she didn't let her daughter go on sleepovers for fear of her being assaulted. That's next.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
What happened that night? Are you not prepared to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a killer. Marathon starting Thursday, 11/10 Central, only on Court TV.
All right, let's get back now to Florida, where we are watching a newly obtained police interview in the murder of Madeline Soto case.
Defendant Stephan Sterns, who is dating Soto's mom, Jenn, was arrested for the 13-year-old's murder earlier this year.
Well, now a police interview with Soto's mom, taken about a month after her daughter's body was found, is revealing new details about the home dynamic.
Let's take a listen now to Jenn Soto explaining to the police about her daughter's sleeping habits and how she was afraid of letting Madeline have sleepovers.
All right, so I'm going to kind of jump ahead. Did Madeline ever complain to you about believing that Stephan had taken her Christmas money?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Christmas money went missing, and we were both, I don't even know how to explain this. We had collected all of her envelopes with Christmas money and consolidated into one. I'll put all her money into one.
Yeah.
And then I said, I will put this somewhere safe, and I thought I had put it in my nightstand. A few days later comes around, whatever. We start looking for it or asking for it or something like that, and we can't find it. We can't find it at all.
So let me just narrow it down. Did she accuse Stephan of taking it?
I'm not sure if she did directly. We both had the suspicion, but we're like, no, could he have? No, I don't think so. But I eventually found that money.
Okay, I was just going to, how did the mystery end? All right, So you just started this job at Disney Coronado Springs like a week or two earlier, is that right?
Yes.
And your sister and other family members would help with Maddie getting to school because of your job?
Yes, my mom, and my sister, yes.
Okay. Why is it that now Stephan on February 26th is coming up to help as opposed to any of your family members helping getting Madeline to school?
I had asked for him to come and help me because I think I was working a lot of night shifts or like really late shifts. And I just wanted the opportunity to see Maddie, like, because I wanted to spend more time with my daughter throughout the week while I was working, versus had she had stayed at my mom's, I wouldn't have seen her all week.
Okay.
So that was just me wanting to see her and spend time with her.
Did Madeline stay at your mom's house fairly frequently?
Every few weekends here and there, like just for the weekend kind of thing.
So like if she described it to her friends as like her second home and like kind of offer up it's better jacuzzi and pool, does that sound like that's the place?
Yes.
Where does Madeline sleep when she's over at your mom's?
She will sleep in bed with my mom.
Okay. Did she ever have sleepovers? Like have friends come over and sleep over?
Slumber parties, no.
Did she ever go and attend any?
No.
Is there any particular reason? I mean, she's a 12-year-old girl on the cusp of being 13.
Yeah, I've been very uncomfortable with sleepovers just because I know what can happen. Anything can happen in a sleepover.
Well, then you can be the host house like we kind of were. You never hosted any sleepovers for her friends?
For her friends, no.
Did she ask about it?
Yeah, she did ask.
Was it probably a source of contention or arguments?
It was, I guess what was the source of argument is she wanted to really sleep over her best friend's house, and I just kept saying, no, you never know what could happen. I don't know the dad, I don't know the brother, I don't know anybody there. Like, I don't know what could happen to you. So, just afraid of her getting assaulted.
Okay. Did Madeline do her own laundry?
Yeah.
Did she cook for herself?
I was teaching her how to make a few things, so I mean, yeah, she could, I guess.
Okay. What's her normal routine for getting ready for bed?
We give her her meds.
I'm sorry, take your time.
We get ready for bed. I'd give her her medication. She would get in the shower.
Take a long shower, I understand.
Like an hour plus, yeah.
Okay.
She loved it. She'd get out, she'd get dressed, she'd let her hair towel dry for a while, and then she would brush it. We would watch some TV. She'd probably have a snack before bed as well.
Okay. What were kind of her nighttime uniforms? I mean, everybody kind of has their pajamas, but they're not necessarily pajamas. What was her routine nightwear?
She really liked wearing shorts. So she had a few pajama outfits, but she really liked wearing shorts and baggy t-shirts.
Okay. How about her routine getting ready for school in the morning? What's that about?
We'd wake up. The alarm would start ringing around 7:30. We'd snooze it up until 8 o'clock. Then she'd get up. She'd get dressed. And then she'd lay back down in bed while she would wait for me to make her breakfast.
So she's a breakfast eater?
Yeah.
Okay.
She'd have breakfast. Then she would start, with brushing her hair, brushing her teeth, putting on makeup. At 5, I would give her ADHD medications for school.
Is that every day or just school days? So it sounds like you're heading out like 8:45 or 9?
Yes.
And it takes like, what did you say, 15, 20 minutes to get to school?
Yes.
And first bell's 9:38?
9:20.
Something like that?
9:20,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, let's bring in our guest still with us, criminal defense attorney Marie Pereira and Deputy Public Defender Philip Dubé. Hi, guys. Great to see you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show with us. Marie, we're all listening to this and we're all looking for clues, right, about what she knew, what she didn't know. I think I might have found one, and I want to get your thoughts. My initial question was going to be, she doesn't sound like a woman whose daughter was killed about a month ago or found out that her daughter was killed. The only time she gets emotional was when he asked her about the nighttime routine. And my sort of spidey sense went up saying, that's because she knew what that routine was about. That was the sense I got. I want to know if you kind of heard the same thing.
You nailed it. It was an unofficial contract she had with that monster. And the fact that she could say, I don't like sleepovers because anything can happen. But wait, before you go to bed, let me give you your hydroxyzine. You take it, make yourself nice and drowsy, and go to sleep with your little shorts and your least tight t-shirt, a loose t-shirt. That was the outfit her little girl wore to bed as she sent the little girl off with her on and off boyfriend. Does that make any sense? And that's where I'm gonna get back at Philip. Philip, how do you say that she was on the spectrum? She's almost empathetic and she's just unaware. She's clueless. She knew enough to say, I don't like sleepovers at other people's house because you never know what could happen, but she trusted him. Why? Explain that. Please, somebody.
I have to also say, though, the sleepover, looking for clues, I wonder if the reason she didn't want her on sleepovers was because it gives more of an opportunity for Madeline to be around other adults, to maybe bond with someone, to maybe tell someone what was going on allegedly under the own roof of her own home. The last thing you want to do is let her go bond with other adults she might talk to. So that's something I wondered about the sleepover.
If I could, just one thing.
Yes.
I thought the fact that she didn't want the sleepovers at her own house was because she wasn't willing to put other people's children in danger.
See, those two things go hand in hand.
That's what you would do, right?
No, I agree.
The interviewer asked her.
I agree.
If you're afraid to send your kids over to somebody else's house, come on over our house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
What you do.
That's what you do.
That's a really good point. Philip, there was a little bit of language I noticed. When she was talking about the normal routine, she said, we give Madeline her meds. Then he asked again, and she said, oh, I give her all her meds. You know, it seems insignificant, but it's a pretty big thing to say we versus I. Does that mean anything to you, Philip?
Yeah, it meant to her that they were a package deal. They were a family. Even though Stephan wasn't the biological dad, he sort of acted almost like a parent by estoppel, if you will. You know, he was basically dad. He fed her, took her to school, gave her meds. He was, in fact, a parent by estoppel, if you will. And you got to remember something, too. That child has a biological father. It means that Jenn had a boyfriend prior to Stephan. He is still a part, or was a part of that child's life up until the day she died. He was providing child support, paying for flute lessons. He would see her on her birthday, do whatever he could to be part of her life. And that child never expressed to anybody what was going on. So I got to tell you, if it wasn't apparent to bio dad, I'm not sure that mom was sharp enough, if she is truly on the spectrum, to pick up on the fact that something was happening to the child. It's kind of hard to believe, especially when you're under the same roof. But on this evidence, I'm having a hard time believing that Jenn exploited and weaponized her own kid. I really am.
Marie, what do you make of her attorney allowing her to sit here and answer these questions? Because during this particular interview, again, a month or so after her daughter's body was found, she does have an attorney in the room with her.
I think the fact that they immunized her maybe made the attorney more comfortable to bring her in, but I agree with Philip 100%. It was a mistake to bring her in. And if you brought her in, prep her for the type of questions you knew they were going to ask. Because during that interview, she divulged information concerning him that made her look bad. Like I said earlier, when he was 18, she claims he said he had a romantic relationship with a 15-year-old. That in and of itself, her knowledge of that should have put her mom spidey senses up to say, okay, maybe he likes young girls. I think it was a mistake to allow her to come in, but like Philip said, it wasn't like, you know, come if you want. It was a compelling type of subpoena situation, but he should have prepped her better for the questions that she was posed.
Let me just tell you, I think if she got complete immunity for what she has told them, she got a sweet deal, because the more of this I hear, right? I know, Philip Dubé even saying, oh yeah, that's a great deal. Yeah. All right. Philip Dubé, I know you're leaving us at this hour. Thank you so much for joining us and your great expertise today.
Have a great Thanksgiving, Philip.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
And Marie Pereira is sticking around with us.
All right, folks, coming up, Jenn Soto goes into more detail about her daughter's medications and says that her and Sterns would sometimes give Soto a double dose by accident. All right, we'll be right back.
Today.
TV is in Florida, where new details are being released in the murder of Madeline Soto case.
The 13-year-old was last seen on the morning of February 26th when her mother's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, was supposed to drop her off at school.
Madeline's body was found days later in a grassy area, and now Sterns is charged with her murder. His trial is set to begin in September of next year.
All right, right now we're listening to the police interview of Madeline's mother, Jennifer. In this portion, Jennifer recalls Sterns and Madeline leaving earlier than originally expected the day that Madeline went missing.
So on Monday the 26th, 7:30 seems like a really early time to depart to go to middle school, even if you're getting Mickey D's. What was the discussion about when Stephan and Madeline were going to leave on the 26th?
There wasn't one.
So you didn't know anything about these plans, or did you? Or
I knew that they were going to go to McDonald's, but not 7 o'clock in the morning. That wasn't.
Okay.
I had assumed like 8 o'clock. But even then, 8 o'clock is kind of early, like 8:30, because you could just go to McDonald's, be done by 9, and then drop her off at school. Because McDonald's is right a block away from the school. So
Madeline's not driving, so she can eat while she's riding.
Yeah. So
and she takes about an hour to get ready in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
So if they were leaving at 7:30, you'd think she'd have to get up at 6:30 to get ready and go through a routine, right?
Yeah, that's extremely early.
Okay. And is that what Stephan told you after these events unfolded? Was that they left early, like 7:30? What did he ever tell you?
It was early. I can't remember the time. I think I dropped her off in front of her school sometime between 8:15 and 8:45.
You say I. What do you mean by that? Did you drop her off that morning?
No, I'm speaking, sorry.
Okay.
As what Stephan was telling me. Stephan let me know that he dropped her off sometime between 8:15 and 8:45 on the road by the church close to her school.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking him, why so early? That's too early. School doesn't start until 9:30. Why did you drop her off that early? Oh, I don't know. We just left the house and made good time. I wasn't paying attention to the clock.
Okay. Did Madeline ever have like effects from taking the hydroxyzine in the morning? Like still be kind of sluggish?
Yes.
How often would that occur? Was that like every morning or not every morning?
Not every morning. If we happen to give her medication later than normal and routine, that would happen. But,
Okay. And were there ever any instances where she had taken too much of the medicine? Perhaps you and Stephan had given her medicine, not knowing that the other person had?
Yes, that's happened once.
How before? Just once or more?
I want to say one.
Okay. Were you taking medicinal marijuana in pill form at any point, or THC?
Yes.
And what do those pills or tablets or capsules look like?
They're purple capsules.
Did you ever suspect or confront Stephan about giving those medications to Madeline?
No.
So during this incident where Madeline had been double dosed with hydroxyzine, do you recall any conversation you had with Stephan and inquiring as to whether or not he had accidentally given her any of your THC?
That hadn't occurred to me. I had asked him the day that, the one morning Maddie wouldn't wake up and get ready for school, and she was just out of it. I assumed it was medication related. But I didn't realize, I'm like, did this one medication hit her too hard because we gave it to her late? I called poison control. I needed to see what would happen. Because at this point, I think I had gotten Stephan to admit that he gave her a second dose of the sleeping meds as well, because he thought I had given it to her in the first place.
Okay.
But that was with hydroxyzine. I didn't know anything about THC, the marijuana.
I'm just asking you.
Oh.
I'm asking if you remember having that conversation. There is a conversation on your phone about you were relaying that Madeline said that she suspected that it was different, bigger pills, and you relayed that to Stephan and had a conversation with him. And if you don't remember it because it was a year ago, that's fine. My next question is, you have 2 female roommates?
Yes.
And one of them has a child, a son that sleeps part-time over there?
Yes.
And so my understanding is they're kind of, it's like a, I don't know what to call it, like a bed and breakfast. There's numbers on the doors upstairs?
Yeah, I don't know. I just, to make it easier for the roommates, I just labeled each bedroom.
So they're in 2 and 3?
Yes.
All right. Now, bedroom number 4. At one point, you told the police that your sister was staying with you, and that's why the sleeping arrangements were as they were. Was your sister ever staying with you, or did I misunderstand what you said?
No, my sister wasn't staying with me.
Okay. So let me ask you this. At what point did Madeline's bedroom kind of become the living room? When did that setup start?
I think as soon as a few months into us moving back into that townhouse.
And when would that have been?
Let's say June of sometime in 2022, but I'm not sure when.
Okay. And it's my understanding that it's December of 2022 that you and Stephan kind of break up?
Yes.
But he still remains in the townhome?
Yes.
Why is that?
So even though we were broken up, I still considered him one of my best friends. I wanted to give him the opportunity to live there, and he had just he had gotten a job at Disney that was doing well.
Okay.
And I didn't want him to continue to lose that because he had been struggling for a long time to get a job or do anything because his own mental health issues.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give him a chance to like do something, be something. So
Did he pay rent?
Yes.
How much rent did he pay?
$600 a month.
So in December of 2022, kind of when the breakup happens, prior to that, what were the sleeping arrangements in your home? Was he sleeping in your bedroom as a couple?
Yes.
So who's in bedroom number 4, if anybody?
I think that room remained empty for a while. For a little bit, there was another roommate there, but it remained empty for the most part.
And were your female roommates already there in 2 and 3?
Yes.
Why doesn't Madeline have that bedroom 4?
I wanted her to have bedroom 4, but my dad really wanted rent. That whole unit that I live in is owned by my father.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Do you pay your father anything to live there, or does he just handle collecting the rent from your rentees, lessees, whatever they are?
I pay him rent as well.
Okay. What do you pay for the rent?
My portion of the rent was $400 a month.
All right. And what did the 2 female roommates pay?
$850 and $650.
Okay. Prior to Madeline having her own bedroom set up in the living room, where was she sleeping in that townhome?
In my bed with me.
Okay. And this is during a time frame when you were together with Stephan, so is it the 3 of you every night?
Well, when we had first moved in, it was just me and Maddie. So it was just me and her on the bed. Then I think we eventually got her own bedroom. Stephan moves in eventually, and then yeah, at that point, it does become the three of us on the bed.
Okay. So Madeline's 12, and she has her own bedroom. And how often is she sleeping in her own bed alone?
Hardly. She doesn't like sleeping alone. And she doesn't like the living room. It's too big, too quiet. She says it'd be too dark and that there would be spiders. She would see spiders, so.
So you say hardly. Were there ever nights where she just slept alone in her bed? Or is it 100%? Because there's a difference between hardly ever and 100% to me.
If she ever slept on that bed, it was like once.
Okay. All right. So now you've broken up with Stephan in December of 2022, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's still paying rent, and he's there full-time in bedroom number 4. Is that where he goes after you break up?
No, he stayed in my room for a few months. We had broken up, but we weren't sure how to discuss it with Maddie because it was the beginning, it was the middle of the school year, and I didn't want to affect her in any way. So we just played it off, acted like everything was normal and fine for the first 6 months. And then eventually she caught on. And then once she did, we admitted to her that we were broken up. And then, at that point is when he moved up to bedroom 4.
Okay. And once he moved up to bedroom 4, were there instances where Madeline would sleep alone upstairs with him?
I'm going to say
I want you to think carefully before you answer, because obviously we've gone through your phone and we've seen all the conversations that you've had with Stephan. So it's clear that that's occurring. So I'm giving you the chance to answer the question.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how many times it's happened.
Okay. Why are you allowing that to occur?
I saw Stephan as someone that I completely trusted with my life, my child's life. I thought he had cared for her as a father would. He had been in her life for more than half of it, playing the father role. I thought he cared for her the way I did.
Now, does there come a point in time in 2023 where you've kind of had enough of roommate, ex-boyfriend Stephan and ask him to hit the road?
Yes.
And is that fair to say it was like October?
Maybe like the end of October, because then I gave him all of November and told him he had to be out by December 1st kind of thing. But yeah, that sounds about right.
And then did you kind of ask him to leave a month earlier and it was a source of arguments?
Yes.
Okay. So now at this point in time when he's being asked to leave, have you had any conversation with Maddie that Mommy isn't together with Stephan anymore and this is kind of the ways of the world? Do you have that conversation with her?
She had, by June, she figured it out already, so she knew we weren't together or anything like that. So she, by December, yes, she had already known he was leaving, but that was okay.
Why is he coming back to visit after he's out?
We're still friendly with each other at this point. Christmas is coming up, and we wanted to spend Christmas together. So he comes up for a few days during Christmas, and then he does visit a few more times after that, but for the day, and it's to pick up packages. He keeps getting mail delivered to my house, packages, so he just comes up and picks them up.
And when he comes to visit after he's been kind of kicked out, is he paying rent or how is this working, or is he just coming to visit?
He's just coming to visit.
Is your father making any arrangements to rent bedroom number 4? Because this is his income that he's losing.
Yeah, we had it. We had like an ad posted to see if we can get any renters. So we were trying to rent it out, but then we had to stop.
And what happens if you had ended up renting room number 4? Is Stephan going to still come up and visit you and sleep in your bed?
I don't know. I hadn't even thought of it at that point.
At one point, you told investigators that Stephan was quote-unquote stuck down there until they could afford for him to come back. Were there plans for him to come back?
We had discussed him coming back and living with me. We weren't sure if temporarily or like for me to help him out with the place for a little bit before he can find his own place and move out. Or we were also considering talking about living together as like a companionship. Like it was my best friend who's helping me out with my child.
Because you told investigators that a lot of the reason your relationship fizzled off with Stephan was that your antidepressants. You had moved on to other people, had you not?
Yes.
And so despite having moved on with other people, you were still having Stephan come up and visit, and there were plans to cohabitate with him again, potentially.
Possibly, yes.
Maddie had the opportunity to go visit her biological father in the fall out in Texas. Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember texting the biological father, hope nobody touches Maddie or tries it or films her under the bathroom? Do you remember sending that text?
No.
Because that seems like a very oddly specific thing to text the father. So you didn't know anything about what was going on filming underneath bathroom doors?
No idea. I don't know why I would have texted that.
June 16th of last year, about 9:30 p.m.
Oh, actually, I can actually think back to that.
Okay. What?
I think around the time that Maddie was going to fly out to Houston, there had been an airline person that had gone into the bathroom and placed their camera on the toilet to film. And I remember thinking, I don't want Maddie, I'm afraid of Maddie being alone on the plane because what if an attendant does that to her? I said, hold on, let me fix something in the bathroom. And in reality, they're setting up a camera because this did happen to a girl.
Okay.
So I want to say it may have been concerns over that.
Okay. Now, June 16th of last year at 9:30 p.m. and 27 seconds, you texted Stephan this: Maddie's no longer sleeping with me. I can't risk it. What does that mean? How often was Maddie sleeping with you?
Often, all the time.
Well, you keep on saying often versus all the time. Was it 100% of the time or not 100% of the time?
If she wasn't with my mom and she was with me, then yeah, she was sleeping with me.
And if she's at mom, she's 100% of the time sleeping with mom? Your mom?
With my mom, or she does have her own room, I guess. Like there's another spare room she could use, but for the most part, she prefers to sleep with my mom.
Okay.
A little context for the interview. Police wanted her to come in. They basically told her they would give her immunity for anything she said during the interview, and she is there with an attorney. Just wanted to put that on the table for everyone. Now, in another part of the interview, detectives questioned Soto about why she was tracking Madeline's menstrual cycle. Take a listen.
Now, my understanding is that you had some sort of period tracker that you kept track of Madeline's period with?
I had a calendar app that I would write what days she would get her period, yeah.
And obviously, Madeline doesn't have a job, so she's not going out and buying the products that she would need if she had her period, right? You would have to do that for her?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
So, do you remember her using any of those products at all in February? Because I assume you take the trash out, or does she take the trash out, or how does all this work?
I take the trash out. In February, no, I didn't notice her using any of her feminine hygiene products.
Did you have any conversations with her about that?
No, but I didn't notice until after everything.
Because it would have been due like at the beginning of February, and this all happens at the end of February, so she's almost due again in March. So you never had any conversations with her about not having her period at the beginning of February?
No, she's had other periods that have been missed or like super late, so I just assumed this was going to be one of those situations again.
Okay.
But no, I didn't.
Did you ever discuss her periods or lack of periods with Stephan?
I don't think so.
It's my understanding that Maddie had to take Miralax. I'm familiar with that myself because of my daughter when she was little. So she had constipation issues?
Yeah.
Would it ever cause her discomfort, physical pain, bleeding?
Yes.
And how are you aware of that?
She would tell me. There have been moments. So we've gone to doctor's appointments. They've run a lot of tests on her. They told me why her body is doing what it's doing. But she's shown me if there was blood or if she's in the bathroom and she just can't go, like it's stuck. She showed me that too. So.
Did she ever specifically seek treatment for tears or bleeding or anything due to her bowel movements?
No, I don't think so. Tears or anything like that, no. I don't think there was ever a tear.
Okay. On February 26th, the whole purpose of Stephan coming and taking Madeline to school was so that you could get some sleep. You had missed your medication Saturday night, so on and so forth, right?
Yes.
Is there any particular reason Stephan couldn't have driven your car to take Madeline to school and therefore not embarrass her and he could just drop her off normally?
Yes, but because he's not on my car insurance, I was very nervous to let him drive my car.
You did let him drive your car after this occurred, though, right?
Yes, but he was very insistent because he wanted to go look for Maddie and he had a spare on his car because he had a flat, so he couldn't drive his car. So he just really wanted to go out. So I just let him, but I wasn't comfortable with it.
Okay. During your previous interviews, and you did it once today, you kind of interchanged I, we, or Stephan dropping Madeline off at school. Did you see Madeline at all on February 26th of 2024, that Monday?
No.
Do you know anything about how she died?
No.
Did Stephan tell you anything about how she died?
No.
Did Stephan tell you about his plans to go back down to Northport in your car that Wednesday morning? Got any questions, Mark? I'm getting close.
I'm going to jump through because I was making notes as we were going on. So how frequently did Stephan come up here after he moved back to Northport?
I'm going to say...
How many times total do you think he came back here?
2 to 3 times.
Do you remember if those were around specific dates?
One was like the week of Christmas. I can't remember when the other one was.
Was Stephan in town the week or two prior to this last time he came?
I don't remember. It's possible, but I don't remember. Everything is becoming a blur.
Do you remember sending him a text message asking if he can babysit Maddie while you go have lunch with your friend?
This was a few weeks before. I remember going out a few weeks before. I don't remember asking him to babysit. I don't know where he was.
Did you ever go to lunch with your friend? And he babysat her?
I did go to lunch with my friend, but I don't think he was here. I think Maddie stayed home alone for a few hours.
Okay. When you mentioned Maddie caught on about you guys being broke up, how did that happen? What did she say, or?
I forgot. Me and Stephan were having a conversation, and she goes, "Are you guys broken up?" And we kind of looked at her. And we're like, "Why do you ask?" She goes, "Because you guys are kind of acting like you're broken up. You guys haven't hugged and kissed in a long time." And we're like, "Okay." So we just kind of.
How do you think she felt about that?
Fine. She didn't act sad or happy or anything. You're just like, whatever.
Just so many red flags in that interview. Anyway, we're going to take a break here. Coming up, we hear more of the police interview with Jenn Soto about what she did the night before Madeline disappeared. And then a little later, we'll bring you some of the police interrogation of Stephan Sterns, including when officers questioned him about disturbing images of Madeline found on his phone. Keep it here on your front row seat to justice.
Vinnie Politan, welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinnie Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
What happened that night? Are you not prepared to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a killer. Marathon starting Thursday, 11/10 Central, only on Court TV.
We are continuing now with our coverage in the murder case of Madeline Soto going on in Florida. Now, we've been playing the interview that police conducted with Madeline's mother, Jenn Soto, more than a month after Madeline's body was found. Now, in these next two parts of the interview, Soto tells police about a conversation that she had with Madeline the night before the teen disappeared, and then she discusses her own sleeping habits.
Now, you mentioned to me before, too, that you found her phone on her dresser in, like, her little bedroom area. Does she have a specific spot where she plugs in her phone to charge? How does she charge her phone?
So, on her side of my bed, she's got a long charger. She'll connect it there to charge. Don't know how she charged it that night, though. Don't know if she took her charger and moved it to the room upstairs. Not sure.
How do you charge your phone?
I charge my phone with my charger next to me on my side of the bed.
Okay, is it one that you plug in, or?
The magnetic one.
Okay. Now, when you go to bed at night, is there any kind of routine that you do with your phone? If you're texting, look on TikTok or whatever, and you go to bed, you just set your phone down and go to sleep, or what's that routine like?
I'll TikTok until I start dozing off, and then I'll put my phone on the charger, make sure my alarm's on, and then just lay down, close my eyes, and hope not to think of too much, just fall asleep.
Okay, that night, Saturday or Sunday night, when you guys spending this half hour of time together, was all that you were doing was talking about gifts and counting her money, or were you guys doing anything else?
Just asking her for more details about the party and to tell me like what I missed. She seemed like she had a really good time.
When you got home from work that day, where was everybody?
I think everyone was in my room, hanging out in my room.
Okay, everybody meaning?
Maddie and Stephan were in my room. Sorry.
All right. Now, it's obvious that you and Stephan communicate via text message and phone calls and stuff like that. What is Google Meet?
What is Google Meet? That is like Google's version of FaceTime. So just face chatting.
Okay.
Video chatting.
Okay. When her birthday party was planned, was this planned before you got your job or after?
The birthday party?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was planned before, because once I saw my schedule and I saw that it was during a training day, and I wasn't going to call out. I considered rescheduling the party, but my family was insistent to just keep it that day. And I said, okay.
All right, so Stephan moves out of his room, and I think he mentioned that your dad had plans on renting that room again to somebody else. Is that right?
Yeah.
How was that room set up? How was Stephan's room set up after he moved out?
Pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. The bed was in the same location. The TV, the dresser, the desk, and the mini fridge. Everything stayed in the same location.
Okay, was the bed, and did it have comforter, blankets, and all that stuff on it, or?
When he moved out, everything was empty. There was a mattress protector cover on it. But I had clean sheets and clean blankets to put on, like they're available. So
where were they available?
In the closet.
Okay. Do you know if he made the bed?
I don't know.
I'm going to assume would be. I don't know.
What did the blankets look like that would be used to make that bed?
They would be white cotton linen sheets with, they're white, but they're white stripes, different shades of white. So white stripes going down it.
How many pillows were on the bed?
I'm not sure. I know that we had taken things out of that room before. I don't know if we used those pillows. I'm not sure what pillows were up there.
Okay, did you ever go into the room after you discovered that she was missing? Did you go upstairs to that bedroom? No. So when you go to sleep in your room, and you're either with Maddie or without Maddie or with Stephan, is your door open, closed, lights on, lights off?
When I go to sleep? So I have a cat. I can't shut the door. I have to leave it cracked. So it stays cracked with a door stopper behind it so it doesn't open all the way because my cat will just knock it over. Yeah, but we sleep with the door cracked.
Okay, lights on, lights off?
Lights off with a YouTube video playing in the background, playing rain sounds.
Okay, would the screen be illuminated, or is it something where a screen, like a phone, where the screen goes black and it still plays?
It goes black, yeah.
Do you remember it happened that night if you were listening to those YouTube videos, or?
Probably was.
Now, the purpose of you telling or having Maddie sleep with Stephan upstairs is because you told me before that you needed a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
If you needed this kind of sleep previously to when Stephan wasn't there, what would happen?
You mean if Stephan wasn't there and I needed this good night's sleep? It depends. If I had missed my meds the way I missed them that night and I wasn't feeling, or I was feeling just how I was feeling, I'm not sure if I would have had her sleep, have her sleep with me on the other side of the bed, or if I would have sent her upstairs to the guest room. But she sleeps like a monkey. She rolls. She'll start on one end of the bed and end up on top of me by the end of the night. And she's a gymnast, I guess. But
have you ever sent her upstairs to sleep?
No, not for any of these reasons.
Have you ever sent her upstairs to sleep by herself?
Alone? No.
Okay. I'm gonna need to wrap this up.
Okay, one more question. Does anybody use your phone other than you?
No, except for the day that we were sitting in front of my house and forensics was in the house. That was the only time I've ever let anyone use my phone, and that was Stephan. Stephan had my phone.
What about, do you wear an Apple Watch?
Yes.
Does it track any of your movements or anything like that you know of? Do you sleep with your watch on?
No, I hardly ever put it on, honestly.
All right, let's bring in our guest. Joining us this hour, criminal defense and civil rights attorney Sue Ann Robinson. Sue Ann, great to see you. Happy holidays to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Today, first and foremost, I'm going to get your impressions of Jenn Soto in this interview. Again, I gave people the parameters. The police wanted her to come in. She has an attorney during this interview that they're doing with her. They also have a lot of information. They've gone through her phone. They've seen all the text messages. They know what's going on with Stephan. I think they have a pretty good idea of what happened to her, Madeline Soto, at this point. So some of the questions might seem weird, but certainly some of the answers are weird, which leads to the weird questions. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Exactly, Michael, and happy holidays to you too. It's an interview that's maddening in the sense that this is a case that sticks with you. You know, it's a young girl that's being sexually abused in very close proximity to her mother, and it begs the question, what does she know? How long does she know? Was she an active participant? In this interview, we know that from that she gets some sort of immunity. So she's kind of just giving all the information, but just at first blush, looking at the interview, she's very unemotional. She's responding, but it's almost like she's numb, talking about her own daughter and the possibility that she was sexually abused. It's just one of those interviews where it's just mind-boggling. Like, you try to figure out what's going on in a mind of a mother that could be in proximity to such a crime happening to her daughter and be so unemotional in the interview.
You know, she at one point, and the thing that gets me, and I agree 100%, is when she's even talking about Stephan. After knowing what he's done or what he's alleged to have done, but what we know he's done based on the various child pornography found on his phone involving her own daughter, she doesn't even seem to harbor any ill will towards the guy. She says, oh, Stephan was coming over, he was helping me out, you know, he was a friend. I mean, if this was someone who did something to my child, I couldn't even form the words, his name in my mouth. And she's basically talking to him like it's nothing, like you said, unemotionally. I do not understand her sort of emotional sort of deciphering of this incident.
Exactly. And it could, and then, and some people will say, hey, maybe she shut down and she just is in shock and that's what her responses mean. But to me, it just screams that, you know, she's part of it or was aware of it and has already had the opportunity to process and is almost okay with it, because her responses are not, as you said, of a mom just finding out that all of these horrible things were happening to her daughter. It's almost nonchalant in a way.
There's just so many red flags. And again, I don't know if that's because we know what's happened at this point, but I think under any circumstances, some of her answers to these questions make no sense at all. We'll get into those red flags in just a bit. Stand by, Sue-Ann. Coming up, we're going to continue our coverage of the murder case of Madeline Soto. And up next, we're going to be watching the interview police conducted with this guy we're talking about, Jenn Soto's partner, Stephan Sterns. We're going to hear some of this. So keep it here on your front row seat to justice. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. More now from the murder case of Madeline Soto. Well, now we're going to play portions of an interview police conducted with Stephan Sterns. Now, this was just 2 days before her body was found. Now, Sterns was the on-again, off-again live-in boyfriend of Madeline's mom, Jenn Soto. Now, Sterns has claimed he dropped off Madeline at school the morning she disappeared. So here, police questioned Sterns about those claims.
Something may have happened. Do you think
I don't think so. I don't think what could have happened.
Okay. All right. Do you know anybody that lives in St. Cloud? Do you know where St. Cloud is?
St. Cloud, that's... north or south? Or?
East. East of Kissimmee.
I've been out there too much. Yeah, I'm familiar with St. Cloud.
Okay, whereabouts in St. Cloud? Like, do you know friends out there, or?
I don't have any friends, really. I've driven out there a few times before. Mostly just when I'm meandering up and down 192.
Were you out there this week?
Yeah, I was out there sometime this week. Sometimes I drive, just drive and meander around and explore. And drive till I don't know where I am, and drive till I know where I am again. And I don't know, just driving, it's peaceful sometimes. Time to kill, I'll just drive around.
So you're saying when you had her backpack, presumably her school computer was in her backpack, and you described her wearing a green jacket, some kind of dark colored shorts, and white Crocs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can confidently tell you She did not go to school with her backpack.
How's that?
Because we found it in the trash. So, Stephan, here's what I'm asking you and pleading with you is to dig down and do some soul searching. Okay? You understand? The family's pleading with you. I'm pleading with you because this is that we need to find. And it's, as more time goes by, it's tough. I have kids, he's got kids. And this little girl's out there somewhere that we need to know where. And I really, really, really think you can help us. I mean, you want to get something off your chest. I don't know what it is, but I'm pleading with you.
I don't know. I don't.
What happened?
I dropped her off.
Where?
I dropped her off on the road to school. That was the last I saw her.
Sometime throughout the night on Sunday, did you guys have any interaction, conversations?
What, like fight?
No, I'm not saying fight. I'm just... Did you guys sit up and talk, or...?
We talked while I was making ramen. She was excited about her choir performance coming up. She was singing a little bit. I told her it was pretty. It reminded me of Sister Act. That's why I wanted to show her that movie. Just talking about a crush she had on the boy.
How'd that make you feel?
Fine. She knows she's not old enough to date, but I told her crush on. Get your crush. That's healthy.
Do you think, had she had any boyfriends in the past?
Not per se, like boyfriends as however they can be early on, but we decided that she was too young, needed to avoid that BS.
All right, being that she's too young, so she shouldn't be having sex with boys. You're saying?
She's all the that stuff. None of it counts. None of it's real. I just told her she'd be better off waiting until high school.
And you just think about it, the cops already know what's been going on between him and that little girl, and you hear his answers. Anyway, we do need to take a break right now, but when we come back, we'll be playing more of that police interview with Stephan Sterns. Sterns is next, questioned about photographs of Madeline that were found on his phone, which leads him to ask this.
Should I be talking to him as a lawyer right now?
I can't answer that question.
Yes, sir. Find out why he wants to speak to a lawyer. That's next.
We want to understand the mindset behind your actions in this case. Tell me, why are you here?
She needed payback.
Payback with her life?
Very funny, really. I'm laughing. You see me, I laugh.
I don't want any of this. Are you not prepared today to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a Killer. Marathon starting Thursday, 11:10 Central. Only on Court TV.
We are continuing our coverage in the murder case of Madeline Soto in Florida. We have more of that interview that the police conducted with Stephan Sterns, the boyfriend of Madeline's mother, and the man charged with her murder. Now, here police question Sterns about his relationship with Madeline and about pictures found on his phone.
What are you thinking about?
Sorry, I'm spacing out here. Long day, no sleep.
Who else has access to your car? Are you the only one that drives it?
My parents have access.
But here in Kissimmee?
Here in Kissimmee, I'm pretty much the only one with access to it.
So safe to say you'd be the only male driving that Lincoln?
Presumably, yes.
All right, I want to get back a little bit to you saying she's not allowed to have boyfriends or anything like that.
No, she can have crushes. She likes them. That's fine.
All right, have you and her ever exchanged, like, do you guys exchange text messages? How do you guys communicate?
FaceTime. She'll FaceTime me at night when I'm not around before bedtime to say goodnight. Talk. Sometimes we don't even talk about anything. We'll just sit there doing our own thing and just with each other's faces on the phone. Just spending time, you know.
What happened? So the deputies made a comment. So what happened to your phone?
I have no idea what happened to my phone. I was pushing off doing this update for a while and ended up trying to do it. I don't know what the hell, my head being in the state it was, I wasn't paying attention. I ended up somehow doing some sort of option that updated the OS, but it ended up like wiping my phone at the same time. Even just now, the phone that my dad gave me and set up for me, I literally just pulled it out of my pocket and the sucker was reinitializing again. So I don't know if it's just me and technology right now, or I'm just not paying attention, or...
Did that happen once to your phone, or how many times do you think you updated your phone?
I think I tried to update it twice, and I don't know what happened.
Okay, and from what I understand, that you gave the deputies consent to look through your phone.
Yeah.
You did? Okay. And you voluntarily gave it to them so they could bring it here to do the extraction and stuff like that. Okay. What do you think was on the phone?
Text messages. Emails. Phone stuff.
Pictures?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of pictures were on there?
Training card pictures, lightsaber pictures, Disney pictures.
Do you have a Google account?
Yeah.
Do you save pictures to your Google account?
Sometimes.
Or is it automatically? I know sometimes phones sync to a cloud and...
Yeah, I think it backs up to Google.
And then sometimes when you reset your phone and your phone updates and puts these apps back on your phone, sometimes they will put the images back on your phone.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you have
Oh, I assume so.
any pictures of you?
Probably. I mean, we went to Disney, took selfies on the train. She got back from Puerto Rico and had her hair braided. We got pictures of that. All sorts of pictures. Family events. I'm not as much of a shutterbug. I take them every once in a while.
Any other pictures that you think of? Here's where I'm going to be brutally honest with you. There's your phone. And I'm pretty sure you know what some of those pictures are about. You're a very intelligent person. And I don't want you to discredit yourself by saying you don't know about all the pictures that are on your phone. You understand what I'm saying? So do you want to add to the list of pictures?
Should I be talking with a lawyer right now?
I can't answer that question. My sole purpose right now is to see if I can find, and I'm you can help me.
Okay. Well, I'd like to try to help, but I feel like I should probably have a lawyer present at this point.
So you want an attorney?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. That can happen. I want to let you know you're not free to leave. You're being detained, okay? Do you want to know what you're being detained for? Yeah. Capital sexual battery and possession of child pornography.
All right, just a quick note. Every time the audio drops out there, they're actually saying Madeline Soto's name. Remember, this was done a couple of days after she disappeared. They still hadn't found the body. She is a minor, so they were keeping her name out of the press. All right, now, Sterns, he has 2 trial dates set for 2025. In February, he will stand trial on dozens of charges of sexual battery of a minor and possession of child pornography. Then in September, he will return in front of that same judge to stand trial on murder charges as well. All right, let's bring back in our guest. Still with us to discuss, criminal defense civil rights attorney Sue-Ann Robinson. Sue-Ann, I got to tell you, it's like watching a movie. It's one of my favorite moments ever at Court TV. Just watching this guy get sort of pushed into a corner, and then they lay it on him. And he realizes the gig is up. He's trying to continue to lie. He thinks he's gotten away with it. He talks about maybe he factory reset his phone, and I think he might have thought that would have erased all the horrible pictures. But it goes up to Google, and as they begin to reveal that we know what you've done, he realizes I should get an attorney. And you can see his whole countenance drop. His head goes down. He realizes the gig is up. It's over.
Right. You're absolutely right, Michael. He does have a realization, and that's when he tries to or starts to gently invoke his right to counsel, thinking that even maybe if he invokes his right to counsel, maybe he thought that would allow him to be able to leave or go search for an attorney or something. Like that was his last resort at that moment. But you definitely can tell from his body language, and once the officers say to him, like, listen, we are laying a foundation for something. He's not picking up on it. For someone who knows what he did, I mean, he certainly had the poker face of poker faces up until the point where they finally just told him, listen, we know there's pornography on your phone and we're charging you with it.
Yeah, and what we know about these kind of folks involved in this is that they're master manipulators. They pick their victims, they groom them, and I'm talking about the adults as well as the kids. That's the sense I get from him, and that's what was clear, what was going on in that room. He was trying to manipulate the cops.
Right, absolutely. He was trying to manipulate them and just make himself appear to be a stepdad and a concerned stepdad, and by giving them the phone and saying, yes, you can look at it, thinking that he had already deleted all of the pertinent information, just another part of his manipulation to look like he was being cooperative and, of course, not involved.
Absolutely. All right, Sue-Ann Robinson, thank you so much for joining us tonight.